All right, we're going to continue on Autodesk Revit class. This will be chapter 4 for Revit, University of Montana 191, fall 2021. Chapter 4, you see in your Moodle, is going to be working with the Autodesk Revit tools. So a lot of the editing commands, array, mirror, align, split command, trim, offset, your basic copying and pasting, a lot of stuff you use in all kinds of different programs, but this one especially. And if any of you are familiar with AutoCAD Basic, these are pretty critical commands as well. They're just going to be suited for Revit's purposes more in this chapter. So go to chapter 4, make sure you got your NER 04 file to start with instead of an old one. They'll be a little bit cleaner for you. You can continue on from your 03 file if you want, but I would recommend that. And we'll start by going to floor plan level 1. We're just going to do our first command as the move command. And we're going to go to the west wing over here, and we're going to take a look at this wall, different ways to move it. So we're all familiar with the orientation of the wall. You can flip which side's exterior, interior. You can also drag and hold because my move command's on, and things are constrained and joined. We'll move with it, right? Okay, so that's just some early basics that the book doesn't go into this exercise. But if you hover over things and you see that 4-way direction arrow, that means a lot of times if you press and hold, you can move it. So that's just the start with that. We'll select this wall, and we're going to do a more surgical move. So our modify commands come up, which we're getting used to seeing now with properties, clipboard geometry, view, modify, etc., etc. We're going to start by just using the more formal move command, and we have options that come up, constrain and not constraining. We're going to let's see if we use that first. So when you pick these, you can disjoin the wall when you move it, so it will unjoin from these two walls. I just did a move prior that it didn't do that because that's what I wanted. I wanted it to stay joined and have all three walls move together. These commands kind of work hand in hand. So the book doesn't really tell you to select disjoin, but I'm going to select it because that's what it's getting after here. And so we'll go off into our view area, and we looked at our options up here. Actually, I'm going to turn on pointer focus for you. We do this. Okay, we'll move that down here, and pay attention to go back here. Your status bar, as always on these commands, especially these modify commands, as you're getting used to them, it tells you what to do next, and your options. There's not going to be as many options, but some of them, like in this one's pretty critical. So we're going to pick a point somewhere in the middle of the wall, as shown on figure 4.2 on page 174, and we're just going to see our highlight midpoint snap. Okay, left click, and we're going to go in the vertical this direction, and we'll type 2 spacebar 6, which represents 2 feet 6 inches, as we're getting to know. Hit enter, and you can see it did not continue to stay joined where they were. The walls didn't move with it. So that's one critical thing. It's trying to show you the difference on that. I believe it has you just undo that, which is fine. We'll hit Control Z, or you can hit undo right here. But yeah, if we hit move again, and we don't disjoin, we do the same thing, say 2 feet, let's even say 5 feet. I surgically moved it without just dragging and gripping it 5 feet, but it kept things joined. Okay, so that's a big difference on those. Going to page 174, we're going to go to the floor plan level 1, and we're going to go to the east wing of the building. Let's take a look at that partition wall in this architect plan. We're going to go over here, and let's see what they want us to do. it wants us to learn the copy command. So basically, like move command, we just copy duplicates of whatever we pick first. Let's select this corridor wall here. And we're going to go to the copy command here. Once our noun or object selected, we're going to pick our verb or action in this case. Okay. And we have a few options very similar to move. We have constrain and multiple. Multiple is probably good to leave on a lot of times in case you want to copy things over and over again. I find that pretty handy, but in this case, we're just going to make sure constrain's on. So let's see what we want to pick and where it's going to go to. Let's take a better look. Bear with me, guys, for a second. Looks like it's already copied. So I'm going to pick right here. Zoom in here, you can see the center point of the wall to where they join is selected. I'm going to pick that. Sometimes you got to turn between coarse and detailed to help find things. I'm going to leave it on detailed still, fine detail, because I was able to show you guys where it's at. Yeah, I already have the walls. It's trying to tell me to copy in this file, but just bear with me here. We're basically copying this one that's already existing there. That's why it's kind of throwing me off, but let's just say I want to copy another one and it's constrained. We'll say 15 feet, hit enter. Okay, and I just copied it exactly 15 feet from here to here. On this one, it was saying, let's just pretend it's not there and say delete. Let's do this command again. And I selected that right partition wall, or left, I should say. I'll hit copy, make sure constraints on. And I'm going to snap from here. And let's find the midpoint. Actually, let's delete this wall first because it's not going to find the same midpoint. Now let's copy it. Let's pretend that wall wasn't there. Pick from here. And let's hover until we find a midpoint. So it's kind of tricky, fairly tricky. It found it right there. You got to hover really surgically in there. Sometimes I find when it's copying, it's staying constrained on this middle line. You can see that little magenta arrow. It doesn't allow you to leave that line, which is a good thing in this case. And there I hovered and I found it. Or you can type in SM for snap midpoint and it'll go to it more quickly. It'll find it. So that's what that was trying to do. The wall was just already there. And I think in you guys' file, if we go to no experience number 4, I'm going to the very first one I downloaded straight from Autodesk. Let's see if it's in there. So it's maybe a mistake with the file in the book, potentially. So, okay, this file is clean. You'll have it ready to go. Let me go back to my file. Hit close here. And let's pretend this is not done. So we've made this wall constrained and we use the copy command to move it exactly in the midpoint. And now we're going to mirror it, mirror pick axis, or MM if you want to type that. We've used this a bunch of times. So we've got our 2 walls selected, and it's pay attention to this, as always, or status bar. It says which axis reflection. We'll pick that, hit escape a couple times. Continue on to the rotate command on page 174. And we're going to go to the west side of the building, to the radio wall. We're going to make a reference plane or two. So let's go over there. And okay, my file is further along. So let's keep moving on with a more fresh file. Let's do that. With me for just a second. Parts of my file were further along than they should have been. So one thing I'm going to do between my more finished file and my more blank file, let me copy these to clipboard. Let me go in my less finished file. And let me paste them. Select a level alignment. Okay, let's keep going with this more blank file. I'll leave the other one open for reference. So go to this radial wall and let's go to the architecture tab. And I'm on my laptop version today, so these icons probably look a lot more like what you guys have. They're a little smaller and shrunk down like this. If you have a desktop with a bigger screen, some of these icon and commands will get bigger. If you haven't noticed already. So we're going to pick a reference plane, create it. We're going to draw it with the line command, which is on already. And we're going to draw it to the center of this. So you got to kind of hover in here carefully until you see this circle. That means center. It's a center snap icon. That's the center of the radial wall. So let's left click there and left click somewhere out there to make our 2-point reference plane. And we'll hit escape, click the reference plane. We're going to modify it. After we click it, a bunch of our options come up, including modify. We're going to do the rotate command now, which you're going to use a lot in Revit as well. And rotate has a couple steps to it. So after we start the rotate command, Revit always calculates the center of an object for the rotate point by default, which it went to here. But we're not going to do that. That's its default setting. We're going to use the options bar to our advantage. We're going to say place the button, the center of rotation. We're going to place it right here. And we're going to say that's my center of rotation instead of the center of the object. Now we have options. So we have a better pivot point, center of rotation. And so I hovered over here, and if you look at my status bar down here, it says click to enter rotate start ray, or drag and click along rotation center. So I'm going to click down here as my start, and my second click is I'm just going to watch my, you can type in the angle here, but I'm going to use just my power of Revit just to go to 45 degrees evenly, and I see that it's there. I'm going to left click. Okay. A few steps to that in options with rotate. Like I said, I could have provided an exact angle, even a fraction of an angle, which we didn't do, but I showed you where that was. So we have a 45-degree rotation there. Hit escape. We're going to do the array command. A couple different arrays. This one's probably the most difficult command in this chapter. There's the radial array, and linear array, which are very familiar if you use AutoCAD. One goes about a circle or arc, and the other one is in XY Cartesian straight lines or angles. So we're going to do the radial first on this wall, and let's select the object first. Then we have our modify commands. We're going to go to array here, select that. Options come up, several more on this one. Will be pretty surgical how we pick these. So make sure group and associate is on first. Radial is on right here instead of linear. I'm going to turn radial on. The number of things we're going to create is 4. And make sure the last button's on in this case. So we got our rotate icon. It wants us to do the center of this object, which we don't want to do that. We want to do similar to our rotate command that we just did. We want to place it to a place we want. So let's lastly pick place. Pick the center or the end, the reference plane. I think I got everything. Yep. With a pivot point in place, we need to specify 2 points. So similar to the last command we did on rotate, we'll do we'll pick up here. It's our first point. It's going to rotate. We got our center, and now we're saying, hey, where do I want this array to go to, or fill what area or angle in this case? And I'll pick down here when it says 90 degrees. And you can also say the angle up here exactly, but in this case, I'm just going to use this automated graphic, and there it made it. So this is also something you can edit later, the amount of objects in this array. If you zoom way in, it's kind of small. You can say 8 radial objects to array in that same given angle. So I changed that to 8. If I select one in this group, so when I did my array, I'll go back to 4. Let's say I'm going again. This is where the group and associate was critical. If I didn't select that, they would be all on their own individual entities. So if I go back, it allows it to have this after the fact, this group and associate, so you can change them after the fact. So that's where that's handy. Linear array on page 185, we're going to zoom into a different area of the building. Let's see, now actually pretty similar, just north of there, we're going to array some windows right up here. Let's see what they want us to do. We're going to add 2 reference planes. And I'm seeing how to add those quick. So the picture on page 186 is pretty dang helpful. We're going to add them with the line command with 2 picks. And we're going to add 1 as an offset of 1 feet 6 inches from the upper left corner of the intersection. So let's start with that reference plane. Let's go way in here. And let's pick this. Okay, and I'm also going to make one, say 1 feet 6 inches. Flip, spacebar, 1 feet 6 inches from this spot. Okay, that's where my first window, I'm just making a nice solid base because I know that's where I want my first window to be dimensioned from. So that's why we're making this reference plane. Escape twice. That's probably adequate to get it about that big. You could even pick your reference plane. Again, zoom in. You could expand it out a little bit if you wanted. Okay. Let's do the same on page 187. Same offset. Let's make a reference plane again. And let's use the same base point right here. Make sure our offset is 1 feet 6 inches, architect scale. And zoom out a little bit. Click to the right. We got our 2. This is going to be the basis of our linear array. How many windows fit between these 2 reference planes we're creating? So we got those made. And we're going to go to page 188. We're going to start our first object, which is a window. Oops, escape window. And we're going to do 24 by 72, which is still in here on a fixed. And we're going to zoom into this area to place our first one. Just show it approximately. Don't be exact. In fact, yeah, just don't be exact. Place it right here. If you want, you can move your tag to the left. One second, guys. Okay. Oops, hit escape twice. Let's click the window. Let's check our temporary dimension in this case. Yeah, let's move the window. So this is what it's having us do. We pick the window. We want to move it exactly to the reference plane. So let's go to the move. And let's say, if you check your status bar, enter to move to the start point. These commands get pretty repetitive, but you'll get better at them. We'll say, okay, that's my start point. And we'll go to the intersection snap, which is the X. That's my endpoint. So there I move my window exactly where I want it. And this is going to set us up for the array linear command. So select the object you want to array first. And in this case, let's grab the tag too. So both items, and we'll say array here from modify after we selected them right. I'm going to say linear this time. Changes a few things from the radial. We're going to change the number to 4. That's on, checking that. And we're about ready to start. We have to be pretty surgical on our points. Now it says where we're going to use our points of the array. So this part's a little tricky. You got to pick the exact 2 spots. So we're going to pick the top of the window and then the reference plane we just created. I'll show you in a second. So pay close attention to the picture on 190. And this will be our first point. This will be our second point. It'll take a minute to think. So it evenly spaced 4 windows in that array. We said from here to that reference point. So that's essentially what we did. And pick those windows again. They were grouped and associated. We can say 6 or more. We'll leave them at 5 is what they want us to leave them at. So if you hit group and associate, you'll have this option, that little button there. Change it to 5. We'll end there. We're going to go to the mirror command in 191. And we've used it already. The mirror mostly about access, pick access. We can also do mirror draw access. So we're just going to kind of continue on with that. We've already used it a little bit. So go to page 192, and we're going to go to the windows we just arrayed. Hold down the control key. Let's select all of them with the tags, just like so. They're all selected. We're going to mirror them to the south. And it wants us to use the filter command. I don't really see the need to do that, but maybe if we had a bunch of stuff we want to filter out, in this case, we know what we grabbed. There would be some power in that. If you accidentally grabbed a bunch of stuff that wasn't these, I'll hit cancel for now. That's just showing you it's an option. Things to group things and filter things out in the selection set. In this case, we'll just continue with the mirror command, and we'll do mirror pick access, which we've done a lot already, right? And we're just going to mirror them. It's interesting. So I don't have one in the middle. Let's add one to the middle by doing this. Made a 5th one, so now I have one in the middle. That'll help you out. Try it again. Mirror pick axis. Use this as my pick axis. If it can't find a wall to attach to, if your walls aren't exactly in the same spot in the X dimensions, for example, it will not mirror them. So it has to have a good centered axis, as you saw in your first unit quiz when I made my mistake and didn't have a mirror line in the exact middle. So keep that in mind about that command. We're going to use the Align tool, which is a very important tool in Revit. We've used a couple of times, and it helps us just line things up to a source we know is good and taking the object that we need it to align to. So the big deal with the Align command is we have to select the object we want to align to. That's kind of the key thing to think of. And then we align to it. So once you get that thought out, you'll be a lot better off with the Align commands. So we're going to add a window quick to the radial wall. And it's going to be a 16 by 72 in this case, fixed. And we're going to add it intentionally off for showing you instructional purposes. And I'm getting some weird differences how I place that. That's interesting. It joins the wall a little different, but I want mine to look like this. See, there's ways you can get it to bend the wall like that. If you do that, just flip it so it looks like this. So it's off alignment. We have a window, and we're going to pick the object we want to align, tag window, and we're going to use the Align command. And we are going to select the point of reference for the alignment. So the object we want to align to, which is this reference plane. And now we hover in here and find a lot of things, on the window component, but we want the center. There we go. Escape. And we're going to array them about the reference planes. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Just make sure I have the right amount. So grab the tag in the window, or we can do a box like this. We're going to do the array command. Make sure it's on radial. Group and associate. Yeah, it wants us not to select this time, which is not really a good reason to not do it, but you don't always have to. And this is still selected, pretty much the same as our last commands. We don't want the center of this to be our center of rotation. We want to pick our own right here. If you didn't get the center of this wall to make all this, this is going to be off. So this is when placing these reference planes right in the center of this radial wall is pretty critical, because we're basing so many movements off of it now. So we're going to say, yes, that is my center. We're going to say I want to go from, now it's saying click to enter, rotate, start ray, click the center. We're going to click the start somewhere up here, and we're going to click the end, our other reference plane right here. Took a minute to think, and they all rayed out evenly. Now when we select those, we don't have the option of see, when I flip that, I get a different type of join. Interesting. That window, we don't have the group and associate. So I can't add more in this array after the fact like I can with this one right here. Okay. I have to go back and redo the command essentially. So I added 10 on the fly. This one I cannot. So that's kind of critical to know. We'll go to page 199, and we're going to add a door. Escape twice. This corridor. Oops. Zoom all. And it's going to be a double passage, double flush, 72 by 84. So architecture, door. good. We're good on that. It wants us to intentionally unalign it. So we'll just pick somewhere like this. Say, yeah, it's not in alignment with the center of the building, right? It wants us to renumber the door. And we're going to pick the door and align it. Align what we want to go to right there. And then what our reference is in the object we're aligning, which is the center like that. So if you hover like that, okay. And there we go. We can lock it in place as a constraint, so it can't move again. We'll learn more about those later. That's set. So that's what I just did. I locked it. So now I can't move it about. Now I could see it let me, it's warning me it's hitting the wall, but let's move it just a little less, like maybe like that. Now, if I had it locked, which I do now, this blue grip, I can't do that. So constrain as you go. Sometimes you can over constrain, but we're going to do the split element command on 201. It's basically like the break command in AutoCAD, splitting walls. You edit them in sketch mode, splitting in sketch mode. You can split elements and not in sketch mode. So we're going to go to the west wing wall section view. So let's zoom all again. We'll hit save for now. I'm going to hit save as. I'm saving this as an instructional video. Go to the west wing wall section view. Our project browser, let's go find it. There it is. And let's select this wall. We're going to use the edit profile command first. Went to sketch mode, magenta, and we have, it's trying to tell us in the book that we can tell we're in sketch mode, obviously because of the magenta, but you'll see a finish edit and cancel edit mode too. Those are pretty obvious giveaways with our draw commands that you're also in it. Let's look at the options bar, and we're going to say split element first, which is right here. And it wants us to select the delete inner segment, so it deletes it out without us having to do it after the fact. Picture on page 203, it's saying, what do we want to split and remove? So it's saying remove here to here, we want to cut out. That's gone, those two clicks. This is very similar. It splits with a more precise gap, like you can say a surgical amount, like a certain amount, and it will split. It's very similar. It's trying to add another command option there. We're going to go back to the draw panel. We're going to draw a line, or pick lines. So I'm going to hit let's just continue on. We don't even have to hit escape. Say pick lines. It switches from split element to pick lines. We want to pick this line to be part of our sketch. Okay. And now we're going to draw another line with this command, 2-point line. And you got to really get into the picture on page 205. We're going to draw a line from here. Just zooming out so I can show you to here. And let's see if there's any more. Looks like I got everything. We're just changing how the wall profile is going to look. We're basically cutting out a portion right here. Hit escape twice. It's looking good. That's what yours should look like. And we'll end it by saying finish edit mode. Now, go to 3D view. We have a space partition cut out of the wall. So you should have that going on. That's essentially what we did. Okay. I missed one step. So it had us move a line on page 206. It just was showing us the power of the grips to move this down a certain amount. It likes to go horizontal automatically. You can also grip these like this. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can change your temporary dimensions. You hit this and hit finish edit mode again. And that's done. If you go to page 208, we're going to do the trim and extend command. On the east wing where there's interior walls, we'll go back to floor plan level 1 here. And I'm going to zoom into the east walls. We'll pick one to get the command options. And on page 208, I'm going to do the trim extend. So trim and extend work hand in hand. One of them extends to an object. The trim says pick the object you want to cut about, like your scissors in a way. We're basically trimming out part of the wall on page 209, the bottom portion. So you first pick the wall you want to keep is kind of a good way to think about this. So let me pick the trim command. We'll say, well, I want to keep this portion of the wall. We get rid of this portion. Again. Let's pick the plane I want to cut about, which is this. So I have the trim command selected. Let's pick the plane I want to cut about, say there. And now I'll pick the object I want to cut or keep. I did the opposite of what I should have done, but that did it still. So let's do it one more time. This is the plane I want to cut about. This is what I want to keep. So cut the opposite there. So orders and sequence is important on trim. Same with extend, it's the same deal, but we're gonna do different up here. For example, you can do drag right into the wall to extend right to the center of the wall, right? That's probably easier for a lot of you and myself, but I'm gonna click this wall. We'll use the trim extend command more surgically, like if we want to go to an exact spot. Pick the same command, but we're going to do a different purpose. We're going to say the trim or extend boundary. Well, I want the extend boundary to be, probably doesn't matter too much, but let's pick this lower edge right here. Then I'll pick what I want to extend. There we go. So that's it on those commands. We're going to go to the offset command on page 210. And we're going to offset an interior wall a certain amount. Over here, hit escape, pick this wall, and the offset command is right here. Pick that. Miracle's fine. And we'll have the copy option on, so we copy it. Otherwise, it'll delete the old one. We're going to say 16 feet, 2 inches, 16 space 2. And right when we hover on the wall, it's going to show us where it's going to, see, depending on which wall we pick. So I'm going to offset that way. Hit escape. Same thing with this wall. If you left the command open, got those walls. Now I'm going to skip through some parts on this for speed purposes. I'll show you different floor plans. I'll let you guys go on your own between levels 2 to 5, copying and changing, practicing your editing on different floors, and pasting different walls to different floors. But we'll start with adding a bunch of walls with the copy paste command to different levels. So we're going to select almost everything in floor plan 1. We're going to paste them up to different floors. So we're going to copy all of our floor plans from level 1 or our partitions. Let's start by grabbing them. We'll grab the windows too. So just grab everything IM. Grab these, grab these, grab these. I'm holding control as I go, as I add more to my selection set. You can do one at a time too, just like that. I'm using control, holding control while I box over things, if you haven't noticed. You can't see that my control is held, but I'm just telling you. Getting everything. So you can grab these radio walls. This is our building block that we're going to start to build out the other levels. We're going to paste to different levels. So let me see. Got everything. I'm not getting these exterior ones because they're going to be up in the sky. We're on the floor ground level right now, right? So I think that's it. Oops, I did not want to do that. Do this a little quicker. Accidentally moved some things when I was about to paste. If you get a couple extra things, no big deal. This is just kind of getting pretty practice to copy paste to different levels. Okay, I should have about 49 things in my selection set right there. Okay, now I'm going to copy to the clipboard now. Looks like I got everything, right? Say, okay, copy to clipboard. And I'm just going to go to paste. With my tags selected, sometimes it doesn't let me paste unless I go into level 2. So I'm in level 2 right now. Line to selected views. I'll just say floor plan level 2. And let's do all 3, 4, and 5. I have an extra 4 in there. That's a mistake level. I want to delete that one out. Hit OK. This is kind of a big ending point of the book, this chapter. Tell this one's in course view. I'm going to say fine view. Now if we go to our different levels, you can see I pasted this floor plan to all these levels, which is pretty handy. It's like my building block for the next levels. And I'm going to start, basically the book's going to have me starting to go customize and do my own floor plans. So with that in mind, let me close a few of these. And I'll show you more of what a complete one looks like. Let's see on this one here. Cancel, let's save this one. What I was just in, let's go to a more complete file. So this is what it, before you did that, right? Okay, levels 2 through 5 should be pretty barren. I'll show you kind of some ideas to continue on. And yours doesn't have to look like mine. Do whatever you want. This one might not be the one I want. Yeah, it has some of the walls. Let's go to one I did some custom stuff in. This one I think will be fine. So I deleted out that floor extra level 4. Showed I accidentally copied an extra level. I deleted it out here. So I got levels 1 through 5. Let's go to level 2. I made some kind of custom walls. I moved, copy pasted, offset, different things. Get creative, maybe use the base bones of these interior walls as, your basis to build off of, or not. You can see by the time I got to level 3 and 4, I changed some things up. I used kind of these similar interior walls, put some openings in, made some new wall rooms on level 3 here. I basically left the same in here, put some doors, obviously. Level 5, I tried adding some, like a big conference room area, right? So do whatever you want to do. Get creative. These are components I added. I arrayed them in a big array, like desks in a lecture hall or something, right? But yeah, get creative with that. I'll be looking to see what differences you added and practice your align, move, copy, offset, mirror, rotate, array, trim. Practice those commands, split element. You're going to be using those a lot if you use Revit a lot. So that's kind of the goal at the end of this chapter. Let me close some of these down. One of the last things, I'll hit no to save that one. Was on page 218, it's showing underlays. So we're on floor plan level 1, and it says go to properties dialog. And give me a second. It's taking me a second to find these. This is in the underlay area. Right here. Oop, I'm cascading them down accidentally. It says it wants us to switch this underlay to level 2. In the top level, level 3. So it's just showing us if you go to different levels, you can see in shaded if it worked correctly. Level 2 here. Look up. I have to hit apply. It's supposed to show us different underlays between the floors. I've seen it done. I'm not exactly seeing fully working here. Let's hit apply. So there it goes. So I'm on level 3, and I said base levels 1 and 2 top. I could have more levels show all the way 1 through 5, and say looking down. So it's showing a little bit of shaded where my wall is in the lower levels. So that could be helpful if you want to kind of see if things are lining up, what they look like with other levels structurally. That's just kind of a handy thing. It's showing they're not on this level, but it's showing them in a shaded view. Same with these, doors on the base view. So that's the whole purpose of that exercise. So that pretty much wraps up this chapter. You can use all the editing commands a lot better use reference planes, array items, align items, using locks to lock things into place better and constrain them. We'll move on to chapter 5 after this.